It's time for St. Lucia Magazine, your monthly wrap-up.
Hello and welcome to St. Lucia Magazine, our weekly news program reviewing developments in government across various sectors of education, the economy, infrastructure, and agriculture. I am your host, Nivalo Geist. In this week's recap, Nobel Laureate Festival has officially been launched, and the Royal St. Lucia Police Force ushers in a new mobile station. St. Lucia is once again paying homage to our dual heroes with the Nobel Laureate Festival, proudly boating two laureates in Sir Arthur Lewis and Sir Derek Walcott. A calendar of activities is scheduled for the month-long celebration. Our news team brings further details.
Per capita, St. Lucia has the most Nobel laureates of any sovereign state. The country boasts two Nobel laureates, William Arthur Lewis in the area of development economics and Sir Derek Alton Walcott in the area of literature. Outside of this remarkable achievement, the laureates also share the same birthday of January 23rd, and the annual celebrations are on the way for Nobel Laureate Festival from January 5th to February 4th, 2025. Under the theme Celebrating Excellence, Acclaiming Our Trailblazers, Inspiring Our Nation, the chair of the Nobel Laureate Committee, Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louise, discussed the inspiration and national pride that created such a festival and its evolution.
For the past 32 years, we have been setting aside the month of January to acknowledge their contributions not only to their homeland but to the international community. What began as a Nobel Laureate Day in January 1993 to celebrate our second Nobel Prize on the birthday of both our Nobel laureates has grown into Nobel Laureate Week and now Nobel Laureate Festival. Indeed, there is more than enough reason to celebrate. They have done us proud, and we are proud that we have contributed in some measure to their success.
Various sponsors have stepped forward to be part of the event, with Bank of St. Lucia taking on the title of the main sponsor. Several activities have been planned for the festival, which include Paint the Village with Jonathan Gladding, a church service and breakfast, the St. Lucia Queen's Commonwealth Essay Writers Awards, Creating Musical Excellence, to be held at the Babonneau Multipurpose Center, the remembrance of Sir Leighton Thomas on the first anniversary of his death, and a wreath-laying ceremony. A full calendar of activities is available on the Nobel Laureate Facebook page. For the Government Information Service, I am Kishma Serie.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs has been closely monitoring the increase in respiratory illnesses, particularly on a global scale, as various communicable diseases were highlighted in China, placing significant strain on its healthcare system. The Chief Medical Officer details observations and plans for the uptick in influenza and other respiratory illnesses.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs has noted the media reports of the increased respiratory viruses circulating in China that have led to the overwhelmed health systems and crematories. The respiratory cases reported are due to influenza A, human metapneumovirus, mycoplasma pneumonia, and COVID-19. The Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention has not submitted an official report to date. The Caribbean region and St. Lucia is presently in the typical flu season, with notable increases in respiratory illnesses among the population. We are also experiencing peak travel and visitor influx. We note increases in influenza A, cases of respiratory syncytial virus, and COVID-19 variants. The human metapneumovirus is a respiratory virus that causes both upper and lower tract infections with an incubation period of 3 to 6 days. The duration depends on the severity of the disease. The symptoms include cough, fever, nasal congestion, shortness of breath, which may progress to a lung infection. This respiratory virus affects people of all ages, but more intensely children under 5 years of age, the elderly, and persons with weakened immune systems. There is no vaccine available against the human metapneumovirus. In the interim, the Ministry of Health is closely monitoring the situation and focused on strengthening the national capacity and response for the potential spread to other countries by increasing the disease surveillance system and the local capacity to detect and manage cases. Testing for the human metapneumovirus is presently available through the Caribbean Public Health Agency Medical Microbiology Laboratory. The public is encouraged to reduce the impact of respiratory illnesses by the following measures. Maintain a healthy lifestyle through diet, regular exercise, adequate sleep, reduced stress and toxic habits. Ensure compliance by taking prescribed medication if you suffer from any chronic health conditions. Strengthen sanitary measures at home and at work and maintain proper hand hygiene with regular hand washing. Wear a face mask when presenting flu-like symptoms and consult a healthcare professional if flu-like symptoms linger or worsen. All persons with chronic health conditions are strongly advised to wear a face mask when in public, in crowded conditions, and avoid contact with others who are sick. Personal responsibility is important at this time. The Ministry of Health also reminds the general public that we are presently in the flu season, which runs from October to March, and as such would like to encourage the use of the flu vaccine, which is available at no cost to the public at the various wellness centers. The Ministry of Health will continue to provide regular updates and health education to the public to take the necessary measures to reduce the impact of respiratory illness at this time.
The Ministry of Equity, Social Justice and Empowerment, in collaboration with the Embassy of the Republic of China, Taiwan, and the Simply Help Foundation, has renewed its commitment to justice, inclusion, and empowerment. On December 11, 2024, a ceremony at the ministry's conference room presented vital commodities donated to the people of St. Lucia, demonstrating a shared commitment to supporting the country's most disadvantaged populations. The donation included shoes for children and women, hats, hangers, toys, and soccer balls. These supplies will be provided to vulnerable individuals in local communities by the ministry's Social Transformation Unit. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force, through its Community Relations Branch, has expanded in the way that it serves the public. The introduction of a police mobile station has created greater access through the city between police officers and members of the public. Kishma Serrier tells us more.
The Royal St. Lucia Police Force has expanded its services by way of a mobile police station. The unit was originally designed to be a command center for the fire service, but discussions between the Commissioner of Police and the Chief Fire Officer saw a repurposing of the unit. With the unit now having a two-shift system in place, the inspector in charge of the Community Relations Branch, Bridget Algodel, explained what the mobile unit would cover and what reports could be made.
At the mobile station, whatever is reported will be entertained. So if there is a traffic accident and there are competent officers within the vicinity at the time, the matter will be attended to. And as the need arises, if there is a need for a referral to be done, that too will be done, considering that the necessary equipment required to complete the investigation may not all be available on the mobile unit, but no report will be turned down. So a report that traditionally would be dealt with by CID is made at the mobile unit. The preliminaries will be done and the necessary referrals will be done to the appropriate departments. There is a shift with 2 supervisors assigned to the mobile unit. So at every given time, there is a supervisor, a diarist, officers who will be deployed from the unit, motorcyclists who will be doing their regular patrols, officers on the from the bicycle unit who will be assigned from the unit as the need arises. So whoever reports in, there are 2 ATV riders. They are deployed on a daily basis from the mobile unit. We would have seen before the presence of SSU officers as well. who would have provided the necessary security for the unit considering its vulnerable nature.
With a current base of operation at Heroes Park in Castries, the inspector explained the reason for the location and its intended impact on the city.
The idea came about as a result of the many complaints, as much as it was long overdue, but there must be a reason to start. And it came about as a result of the many complaints we would have received from our tourists in whom we are well pleased, and we're the ones who invite them here. We depend so heavily on them coming and their spending power and how it helps with our economic development here. So we felt it was necessary to provide them with this additional coverage by taking the mobile unit to Heroes Park, which for now seems to be the most suitable location closest to the port where the tourists would be coming in. So as soon as they exit the area, they would be encountering that mobile unit, which would reassure them that all is well, they're covered, and they should have a fair vacation, an enjoyable vacation.
Having now created an atmosphere of greater police presence, the inspector gave some insight into the future plans for the unit.
It is our intention sometime next week to deploy the mobile unit to a community, in my mind, which has been deprived in the sense that there is no police station in close proximity. And since we're here to serve the public, to increase the trust in the public, to increase the response time to reports and so on, and to just give them the quality of service that they deserve from us, we hopefully will deploy the unit to a location next week. I don't think I should disclose the location right now, but I'm just asking members of the public to tread cautiously, because they cannot always tell where we will be and when we'll be there. But we will be at a location that has never benefited from a police station in the past. We're going to take the mobile unit to this district, and we will afford them the luxury of walking into a mobile unit to make a report without having to travel the distance to Castries.
With the ability to deploy personnel and resources, the mobile station is intended to be a staple at mass crowd activities such as jazz and carnival, to ensure residents and visitors feel safe. The presence of the unit will also take on the additional role of deterring criminal elements. The hope of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is to have more mobile units in the foreseeable future for various locations on the island. For the Government Information Service, I am Kishma Seri.
The Development Control Authority, or DCA, has implemented approved changes to various codes which will take effect from March 1st, 2025. The changes will impact building codes and environmentally safe building practices, and an increase in certain application fees. Kendall Eugene tells us more.
The Development Control Authority, or DCA, will adopt new land development regulations on March 1st, 2025. These regulations are mandatory and will apply to sectors such as building codes, land development, and EIA regulations. Karen Augustine, Chief Planning Officer and Executive Secretary, clarified the actions being taken by the DCA.
These have been quite significant because we have not had regulations underneath the Physical Plan and Development Act since its inception in 2001. So it has taken us 24 years to get to this stage where we are at in having regulations. However, we intend to roll out those regulations during the course of this year, 2025, starting with the application forms and the fees. So the forms will be in two parts. You have Form 1, which is permission to develop land, and Form 2, which is approval in principle. And these will be new to our systems, so they will replace our current systems of application forms and will ensure the expeditious processing of applications, or will assist in that regard.
Safety and the environment are major concerns, and Augustine explains that the new regulations will take into deeper account how structures are built and the environmental impact of construction activities.
So underneath the EIA, we now have new regulations, the Environmental Impact Assessment Regulations, and these make provisions to ensure that developments are done being guided by an environmental impact assessment. An environmental impact assessment allows for mitigative measures in the undertaking of developments to ensure that, plans are put in place for each stage of the execution of the development. So the EIA takes into consideration how these plans are going to gel together to ensure development that is done in a manner that is sustainable.
There are adjustments made to the fees of applications to the DCA, but Augustine assures that there are no changes made to residential applications, and even the new non-residential fees are minimal. For Government Information Service, I am Kendall Eugene.
Caribbean educators and professionals are asking for focused mentorship, more inclusive teaching, and entrepreneurial training for boys to overcome the region's rising education gap. Boys are twice as likely as girls to repeat grades or drop out of school during their primary and secondary education. According to UNESCO data, males in Latin America and the Caribbean experience disproportionately difficult hurdles throughout their education. The call to action came during the keynote session, Education for All, Creating Inclusive, Gender-Responsive, and Learner-Centered Systems in Education, during the Regional Symposium and Policy Dialogue on Transforming Education in the Cayman Islands. Experts identified impediments to boys' disengagement, such as traditional educational techniques, a shortage of male teachers and role models, and social expectations, such as early breadwinners due to absent fathers. St. Lucia hosted the Eastern Caribbean Challenge, a 6-island marathon event organized by Z Adventures, featuring participants from 18 countries, with St. Lucia marking the second leg of the competition, led by Guinness World Record holder Zayed Rahim. St. Lucia welcomed marathon runners from around the world as part of the Eastern Caribbean Challenge, a 6-island marathon adventure organized by Z Adventures. This unique sports tourism initiative, spearheaded by Guinness World Record holder Zayed Rahim, has drawn participants from 18 countries to compete across the Caribbean, with St. Lucia marking the second leg of the challenge. Speaking about the event, Zayed Rahim, CEO of Z Adventures, highlighted the ambition behind the challenge.
We are all part of the Marathon Globetrotters, so the runners' aim is to run a marathon in as many countries as they can. Now, we've got runners here who've completed a marathon in over 150 countries. Some have done 174. There's some others who've done about 150, 160. So our aim is to run in as many countries as we can. We have runners from about 18 countries taking part in this race, and with the ages ranging between 30 and 82.
The event was made possible through a collaboration between the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Sports, and other local agencies. Tourism Officer Deepa Gidari noted the growing significance of sports tourism for the island.
Our tourism industry has grown tremendously over the last couple decades, and we have moved away from the sun, sea, and sand to adventure, to weddings and honeymoons, etc. And sports tourism is another facet that can add to what our product offering is all about. As time goes on, you find that more and more there are people who want something different, something new. Different visitors, different tourists, different people, they all have their preferences in terms of what they would like to engage in during their leisure time. Now, sports tourism provides that avenue as well, bringing people down, because when you have sports tourism happening, you have your athletes, you have your followers, you have the families who support, etc.
Clivers Jules, Senior Youth and Sports Officer at the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, emphasized the importance of such events. He says that the collaboration between government agencies has been a key factor in the event's success. Jules highlighted the growing synergy among ministries.
Sports tourism is part of our mandate, so we were more than happy to collaborate with the Ministry of Tourism to execute this event. It's a group of enthusiasts, marathoners, of course, going around and doing this. So we were more than happy to partner with them and to have this program. I mean, there were a few hitches in the beginning, but I think it's excellent. The course is nice. The weather is excellent as well. We're getting through it. I'm sure as time goes by and as we keep going through this experience, we'll get it a lot better than this. But it's an excellent experience so far.
The marathon route in St. Lucia began near the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds, paying homage to the local cricket hero who also enjoys international acclaim. Organizers expressed gratitude to local authorities and volunteers for their continued support to hosting the event for the 4th time since its inception in 2017. The Eastern Caribbean Challenge moves on to Barbados, followed by Grenada, St. Vincent, and Martinique. Renovation work has started on the Soufriere jetty, which was damaged from Hurricane Beryl. The area has hampered the free movement of vessels due to safety concerns with its use, and some measures have been taken to make the jetty usable. Genevieve Gonzague tells us more.
The St. Lucia Cruise Port, SLCP, in collaboration with the Soufriere Regional Development Foundation, SRDF, has announced the partial reopening of the main dock on the Soufriere waterfront. The renovation works commenced on November 20th, 2024, following significant damage to the facility due to Hurricane Beryl earlier this year. The chairman of the Soufriere Regional Development Foundation, Mr. Ernest Auger, emphasized the importance of restoring the dock to benefit both visitors and locals.
We had to get the resources to ensure that we did put most of the structures back into operation. And so we repaired the Hummingbird jetty. We assisted in repairing the Fishes jetty. We did some partial work to the boardwalk, which is near the police station. But the major challenge for us was really the Soufriere main docks. This was almost compromised from the bottom. All the structures at the bottom are heavily compromised, and even to the top. And this is the main access really for all our boaters. And so we had to spring into action. We were able to secure some assistance with the help of GPH, who assisted us in ensuring that some repair work was done to the Soufriere main jetty, and that has assisted quite beautifully. And as of now, we can have limited access, though it is limited really, access to the Soufriere main jetty where we can accommodate some of the marine traffic.
The temporary restorations aim to ensure smoother operations during the busy cruise season while long-term redevelopment plans take shape. According to the Member of Parliament for Soufriere-Fonsaint-Jacques, Honorable Emma Hippolyte, the project represents a shared commitment to revitalizing Soufriere's waterfront and the main port of entry.
Because the damages that were done to all 4 jetties that we had required us to pull back and rethink what we are going to put in the waterfront. For example, after Beryl, when we assessed the damage that took place there, we saw very clearly that the area that had the stone barriers were less impacted by the water. So again, we placed that on the table to say, Ministry of Infrastructure, could you get and do some analysis to tell us whether we needed to continue this breakwater barrier further down, because then that impacts what GPH will be put in. So they are working together to do that.
The revitalization of the main Soufriere jetty is a collaborative project among various agencies, including the St. Lucia Cruise Port, the Soufriere Regional Development Foundation, the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority, and the Government of St. Lucia. From the Soufriere Regional Development Foundation, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
And that wraps up this week's highlights. Thank you for joining us as we reflected on the stories that shaped our week. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to connect with us on NTN Channel 122 and the social media pages of the Government of St. Lucia for the latest news and insights. Have a fantastic week ahead, and see you next time.